Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you've just landed in a vibrant new city, say London, right? You've got just a week to explore. How do you cut through all the noise? Avoid the usual traps and, truly make the most of every single moment. Today, our deep dive is into exactly that, figuring out decision making using something we're calling structured inquiry,
Hmm.
our source material. It's this really fascinating conversation. It's between a traveler, Liam, looking to book some tours, and Sophie, who's an expert at a London tour booking service. So, our mission here is to pull out those nuggets, that sort of actionable blueprint. How do you turn a general interest into a plan that's, well, perfectly tailored without getting totally overwhelmed?
Yeah, and what's so interesting, I think, about this conversation is how Sophie, she doesn't just throw a list of options at him. She kind of masterfully guides Liam. It's through a series of choices, systematically narrowing down this like huge landscape of possibilities.
Yeah.
It really highlights that structured inquiry, it isn't just asking questions, right? It's more about designing the choices themselves to reveal what someone really needs and prefers. And that's a skill you can use, well, way beyond just planning a trip.
Exactly. She doesn't just give him a generic list. No. She starts really broad, asking about general interests. Is it history, food,
Yeah.
general sightseeing, maybe day trips? And Liam, he pretty quickly focuses in on sightseeing. He says he wants to see the main landmarks and get a feel for the city.
Right. And that first step, that's what we'd call broad categorization. Sophie isn't really selling tours at this point.
Yeah.
She's helping Liam define his landscape of interest. That stops him feeling overwhelmed right away, and it makes sure the next options are actually relevant. It's about getting to the intent behind it all, getting a feel for the city that tells you so much more than just sightseeing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And that deeper understanding lets her move to the next level, the next choice. So then she offers distinct formats, okay, a walking tour, maybe a bus tour, or even a river cruise. Liam thinks about it, then picks the bus tour, and he specifically says it would help me understand the layout of the city.
And that's format delineation. Sophie's presenting different ways to engage, different modes. And Liam's reason for choosing the bus tour, that's key. He's making a thought-out choice based on what he wants to achieve, which narrows things down even more. It's not just picking randomly, it's finding a strategic fit.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting and quite personal, I think. Sophie suggests their London Highlights bus tour, covers the big sites, Tower of London, Buckingham Palace, but then she prompts him with the choice, recorded audio guide or a live guide for that real-time interaction.
Hmm.
And Liam, he immediately goes for the live guide. He says it feels more personal. Then she offers times, 9:30 a.m. or 11:00 a.m. And he picks the earlier one. Why? Because he likes to start his day early when he travels.
See, that's preference solicitation. And this is where so many generic recommendations just fall flat. Sophie goes beyond the what. She digs into the how and the when. It shows that real tailoring isn't just about the product itself. It's about matching it to the person's own style, their intrinsic preferences, like wanting that personal interaction or a specific start time.
And she refines it even more.
What?
She asks if Liam wants to add an optional lunch, at a traditional British pub.
Yeah.
And he confirms, yeah, wants fish and chips. Seems like a small detail, maybe, but it's actually pretty crucial for the whole experience.
Definitely. That's ancillary enhancement. It's about recognizing ways to sort of enrich the main experience with things that complement it. It shows how a good guide, or even just a good framework for asking yourself questions, can prompt these extra valuable choices you might not have thought of otherwise.
So Sophie then nails down the details, just for him, gets his name, email, before finalizing everything, the 9:30 a.m. live guided London Highlights bus tour, followed by that fish and chips lunch at the Duke's Arms pub, and Liam's final reaction says it all, really. Wonderful. That was easy.
It felt easy. And why? Because that structure led him through it step by step. This framework, broad categorization, format delineation, preference solicitation, and ancillary enhancement, that's precisely why it felt easy. It gave him a clear path right through all the complexity.
Right. So what does this all mean for you? How do we distill this into something you can actually use for your next deep dive?
Well, think about Liam's journey, right? He started off really broad, just wanting to see London. But Sophie's structured approach, it helped him actually articulate his specific personal preferences. Things like wanting a live guide or that early start. And that allowed him to create a really unique, efficient experience that actually, resonated with him personally.
Think about it. How often do you maybe jump into something new, a project, a topic, planning something, hoping to just soak it all up, only to find yourself kind of lost in the sheer volume of information or options? What if instead you deliberately use these kinds of stages to uncover your own unique learning style or figure out the outcome you really want, just like Liam did? Could that lead you to a much more satisfying and frankly more efficient deep dive every single time?
Yeah, and beyond just travel, think about how your own preferences, maybe for timing or interaction, or even those little post-activity extras, how they can shape a truly unique and efficient experience when you're absorbing new information or exploring a whole new field. It's quite powerful.
So here's something for you to mull on. How can recognizing and importantly articulating your own personal style, like Liam liking a live guide or an early start, how can that lead you to far more satisfying and efficient outcomes in really any new deep dive you decide to embark on?